I recently had an epiphany that I should own everything on Soulfire Records. This is Calypso King and the Soul Investigators, Soul Strike, and it's on Soulfire Records. Just to give you a brief history, Desco Records was a New York City soul and funk label started above an umbrella store by two guys. They wanted to release old, analog-sounding, gritty soul, funk, and Afrobeat records, put out the Soul Providers, Sugarman 3, Sharon Jones, Lee Fields. The records they made were great, but the label barely lasted a few years. In its wake, one guy started Daptone, which had a more polished sound, and the other guy started Soulfire Records, which had a more gritty, raw sound. Think Motown, Stax. While Soulfire only put out a handful of titles, they're all great, but they're hard to come by, almost impossible to see in the bins. And if you go to Discogs and type in Soulfire, I think about 4 long player records come up in a handful of 45s, and that's in the entire world. So this is one of them, and I'm pretty excited, and there's a couple more that I've got my eye on. Next up, a beautiful Bluebird box set, Sidney Bechet. He was an early virtuoso on clarinet and soprano sax. He isn't mentioned as often as Louis Armstrong, but his improvisational style was influential on the development of jazz. He was more popular in Europe, particularly Paris, than he was in the States. These are his complete works for RCA Victor Bluebird Records, and it's just fantastic stuff. Jelly Roll Morton and Earl Hines play piano on some of these tracks. This is bluesy, swinging stuff, and an absolutely gorgeous box set. As you can see, I love Bluebird box sets. One of my favorite bands of all time, nrbq. nrbq Tokyo 1997. They've been called the ultimate bar band. Unfortunately, that meant that they were only going to be playing smaller venues through their entire career. But I think they were far too good for mainstream taste. Ambitious in their synthesis of country and jazz, pop, rockabilly, blues, and R&B. They were eclectic. They were innovative. Terry the piano player was a cross between Jerry Lee Lewis and Thelonious Monk. This was a big crossroads because the band had been together. Their first record was 1969, and by 73 or 74, they started to gel into a foursome. Big Al Anderson on guitar, Tom Artolino on drums, Joey Spampanato on bass, and Terry Adams on keyboards. And Big Al was with the band for 23 years, and right before this live record came out a few years ago was their last studio album with Big Al. And so Johnny Spampanato came in, Joey's brother, the bass player's younger brother, came in to fill the guitar shoes, which made everybody nervous. It was a scary time for nrbq fans because Big Al was such a huge part of the band. And Johnny stepped up and he really filled the shoes nicely. Excellent guitar player, and not an easy record to find. This is what it looked like when it never came out on vinyl. It originally came out on CD. Excuse me, but we sort of had an idea that Johnny was going to be okay. He had a band called the Incredible Casuals. This is from the late 80s, I think, 87. So he was a fine replacement for Big Al. Finally, I picked up Pink Floyd Animals, a 2018 remix, not released until 2022. I was hesitant because anytime somebody just slaps a sticker on something, it's a remix. You know, am I supposed to rush out and buy everything? There's not enough room to store things. Of course, I had the first Animals on vinyl. The sound is better. There's more clarity. Everything's more up front. It corrects the original mushy, flat sound that some people complain the original Animals had. There's less cowbell on Pigs on the new remix. Some people are still going to like their old friend, the original Animals, but this does sound fantastic, and I'm glad I finally picked it up 3.5 years later. That's it.